Welcome back to Host or Not to Host Thanksgiving. That is the question on a lot of people's minds this year. In this next segment, Deborah Porter shares some interesting ways you can still make Turkey Day a fun and enjoyable experience for you and your family. Take a look.
To host or not to host Thanksgiving this year? That is the question. We're joined today by Deborah Porter of Mom's Mentoring Circle, an expert in, I'm just going to go ahead and say all things. Deborah, it's wonderful to see you.
It's so good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing well, but I'll tell you what, this is one of those topics of conversation that's been going on and is still going strong. To host or not to host Thanksgiving. You know, we're all going through this experience together, but in our own ways. And this is one of the big illustrations of that.
It is. Thanksgiving is a big holiday for the Porters. We have a 50+ year tradition of spending that holiday together. And my husband and I have been doing it for the past 5 years. And we had to sit down and have a tough conversation.
I bet you did. There's a lot of folks who have an opinion that want to weigh in on this. You've been hosting, and now with a tradition that's 50 years running, it's one of those things this year where it's sort of the traditions that are getting us through. They're the thing to look forward to. So when you're changing that, it creates a little anxiety, probably an understatement.
Very true.
How do you navigate that? Everybody wants something different.
Well, you know, we had to really think about who is normally in attendance. There's normally about 20 or 25 people ranging in age from 2 to 82. And we had to figure out, is it worth the potential risk to expose someone to the virus unknowingly? And so we landed on the side of, no, it's not worth it. So I got to work and figured out some ways that we can still stay connected. We can still be thankful. We can still have a great meal, but we just won't all be together under the same roof.
Let's take two approaches on this then. Let's look at your words of wisdom in terms of not hosting, of not getting together. How are you seeing that coming together?
So if you're not going to all be together, think about a virtual celebration, right? We're doing everything virtually now. So the idea of being able to get together on one of the platforms online, there are many to choose from, but to get together for the main meal or for dessert and play some games, using the chat to share recipes, to share what you're thankful for, it allows you to still feel connected, even though you're not all under one roof. Another way to think about still getting together, if you're going to, is, the weather in Richmond in November can be 70 degrees or it can be 40 degrees. We lived in Richmond for a lot of years. And so think about something al fresco, right? You can serve outside. If you've got a big outdoor space, you've got a couple of those fire pits, let people gather outside where you can distance, you can have a meal together, but it won't put anyone at risk, or at least very small risk.
And talk about incredible, if it's a 50-year running tradition or just however your Thanksgiving looks, we'll talk about that year that we were outside and enjoyed Thanksgiving together, if that's what you choose to do. Let's say that we've made the decision like you have, we're not going to get together. What are some of the ways that you're thinking we can still bring everyone closer?
I think another way, well, let me just say really quickly, if you are going to host still, if you've got a small enough gathering and you feel comfortable doing it, it is okay to ask people to test before coming to your home. It's not strange. It's not weird. It's the time that we live in right now until there is a vaccine or some other safe protocol. So think about doing that. Ask people that if they're going to test to then isolate, because again, that test only means you are negative or positive on that day. So if you test and then go back out, you're obviously going to be exposing yourself again. So that's not a strange thing to do. And then the other thing I'll say is, here was my daughter's suggestion. If we're not going to be able to get together, Mom, how am I going to get grandma's apple pie? How am I going to get my aunt's macaroni and cheese? And so there's really a great way that you can package up all these little delicious things that everyone loves from all the favorite cooks in the family, drive around, do your Thanksgiving drive-by, pick up all those little side dishes, and then gather again at home and hop on that virtual call to still be able to celebrate together.
Great ideas. And as you go through these, it gets the wheels spinning in terms of, okay, let's have this conversation. What should we do? And you are on point. 2020, I think anything goes, everything goes. And certainly asking family members if we are dedicated to getting together to do this, that's critical. And then back timing from the event. And as you suggested, isolating. Another way to do this, if you do want to get together and maybe you're hesitant of hosting, you've got some words of wisdom on that as well.
So I know a few families who are packing up all the Thanksgiving goodies, packing up the families, and they've rented a huge house that can hold their entire family and friends perhaps as well. And then that way you're not in your home, you're away, right? So it's a little bit of a vacation. And it's a big enough home that can hold everyone with still some distancing if need be. I know one family that is literally driving down to Florida. They've rented a huge house with a pool. They're even bringing in a chef. And if you've got enough families that are going to participate in that, by the time you divide up that cost, it's not very expensive. And so you really can turn this into a way to create a whole new tradition for your family and something to look forward to.
I think there's a lot of positive in that, and it's definitely a reframing. But think about that, a whole new tradition. And for all those years that you say to your loved ones, well, we can't do that. That's not what we do on Thanksgiving.
Right.
Again, well, Q 2020, this year is going to be a little different.
Absolutely. But the big thing is to still remember we do still have things to be thankful for. And there are still ways to stay connected to our family. We just have to put a little bit more effort into it. And it's a conversation worth having with your family.
It absolutely is. And I'm so glad we had the chance to have this conversation. Deborah Porter with Mom's Mentoring Circle. It's great to see you.
It's always good to see you. Thank you.
Our pleasure. We'll be sure to share information so friends watching today can connect with you.
What I got out
Interesting
of that,
conversation.
Jess, is that you got to be flexible. You got to be flexible. And, and tradition is a wonderful thing. And that's part of the holidays that we all look forward to. But if you always went to grandma's house for years and years and grandma isn't with us anymore, you changed then. So this is a special situation. We're all going to have to kind of flex a little bit.
It definitely is a crossroads. And I think from what Deborah was sharing too, you have to keep in mind that we can't throw caution to the wind. It's a time to be very, very considerate. She shared some fantastic ideas. And as we talked, I thought, I hadn't really considered any of these before. And sometimes just hearing it is a way to get the ball rolling. While she was on, I started going to my favorite, to the interwebs. And I typed in hashtag outdoor Thanksgiving decor. A lot of ideas, really cool to start thinking about heading outside. And hopefully you might have to stay flexible because if the weather shifts, that could be something. Yeah. So there's always got to be a plan B and maybe C.
It's one of the things she said right at the start was that in Richmond, we don't know. It could be 70 degrees and sunny and gorgeous outside, and everybody would want to be out on the back porch or the deck or wherever anyway, or not so much. And then you gotta be able to kind of move on the fly there and adapt a little bit. But the flexibility that she was talking about really struck me, and hopefully that'll help some folks make a decision, because I'm going to miss that green bean casserole with the onions on the top if we don't get to go to a certain house.
Not to make this always sunny side up, but maybe there's a way between now and then that whoever is your green bean casserole maker, you guys work together on FaceTime or Zoom or however it happens to practice it. Maybe you cook together, because that'll certainly brighten both days, right? For the folks, spend some time in the kitchen and then practice that recipe. And then maybe you'll be able to make it at home. I think Deborah had suggested maybe Aunt B can make the dish and leave it out. Maybe you trade. Maybe there was a shoe fly pie that you like to bring to the occasion. You could leave that with her. I don't know. Sky's the limit.
And if my sister's watching right now, I still want my pickles, my sweet pickles, no matter what. Just leave them on the porch. I'll come get them.
Pickles don't happen overnight. I feel like sis would have had to have been working on that already, right?
She better have been, yes. Definitely.
I'll tell you what, there is one right now that we're getting into some favorites. Our former
Yeah.
neighbor made a recipe called brandied cranberries. And they're as saucy as you think they are. And what
Yeah.
a real treat. And I think
Yeah.
she just makes them so beautifully. So Lee, if you're watching today, you know, those brandied cranberries, I could meet you halfway. Or maybe we just need to practice the recipe.
No. He needs to bring them to you, or he needs to bring them to you because you can't have those dry.
No, I can keep them in the back, tied up tight.
All right, stick around, folks. We'll be right back with more Virginia This Morning.